This week in space news, we've got updates on some well-known space companies and news about some startups you've probably never heard of. First off, Rocket Lab has posted on X with some updates on progress of their Neutron vehicle. Our second news story is on an Indian space startup that has recently received some funding. Our third story is a company working on space-based delivery system. And finally, Space Loop Systems is entering NASA's Lunar Recycle Challenge. Okay, let's get started. Rocket Lab updates. Rocket Lab continues to test components for its upcoming medium launch vehicle called Neutron. In this post on X they say, "A day in the life of flight hardware testing for Neutron. We recently took our new rocket's second stage through an initial wet dress rehearsal, successfully running its flight avionics and pressure and propellant management systems to emulate flight operations. In addition to the second stage test, they've been working hard on ground support equipment for Neutron. In these photos posted on X, you can see the launch mount taking shape. The test stand is located at LC-3 in Wallops, Virginia. Turning to their Electron rocket, Rocket Lab has just completed 2 launches in a 24-hour period. These launches took place from New Zealand and from their Virginia site in the US. With these launches, Rocket Lab has now placed over 200 satellites into orbit. This places Rocket Lab in clear second place as a leading commercial space satellite launcher in the world. Only SpaceX launches more satellites. In total, Rocket Lab has now launched 56 times. Okay, let's move on to our next story. Abayam Space Tech gets $2.5 million in funding. Abayam Space Tech, India's first private space tech company focused on developing reusable rockets with reignitable and throttleable cryogenic engines, has secured $2.5 million in investment from Scope during its seed round, totaling $5.4 million. This investment will enable Abayam to boost its research, expand its workforce to over 50 employees, and advance its space technology projects, including the development of a suborbital reusable sounding rocket. Apala Saikaran from Scope expressed enthusiasm about leading this investment, emphasizing their support for Abayam's vision. Jainul Abdin, Abayam's CEO, highlighted the significance of the partnership with Scope Ventures, noting that it will propel the mission to innovate in space technology and infrastructure. We'll be sure to follow Abayam Space as they design and build India's first reusable rocket. Okay, on to our third news story this week. Inversion raises $44 million to build space-based delivery system called ARC. California-based startup Inversion has secured $44 million in a Series A funding round. This brings their total funding to $54 million since 2021. They aim to make space-based delivery affordable with their autonomous re-entry vehicle named ARC, targeting their first full-scale re-entry vehicle to be launched by 2026. Inversion plans to expand its team from 30 to 80 employees, invest in new headquarters for manufacturing the ARC vehicles, and continue testing with their subscale demonstrator, named Ray, which will be launching later in 2024 on the SpaceX Transporter 12 mission. The company thinks their re-entry vehicle could be important for national defense by allowing cargo deliveries from orbit within an hour. Inversion are not the only space startups trying to solve re-entry in an affordable manner. On this channel, we've already covered Varda Space, Stoke Space, and Outpost. Check out my other videos for more details. Meanwhile, Varda Space received their second re-entry vehicle that was built by Rocket Lab in October 2024. They've secured a re-entry license from the Australian government for their capsule's landing, and they are set to launch in early 2025. Stay tuned for updates. Okay, on to our final story this week. Space Loop Systems will enter NASA's Lunar Recycle Challenge. Space Loop Systems, a startup focused on recycling technology, is set to participate in NASA's Lunar Recycle Challenge. As NASA plans for astronauts to return to the Moon, managing waste effectively is crucial, prompting the agency to launch this competition. With a total prize of $3 million, the challenge is divided into 2 phases to identify the most effective recycling technologies suitable for lunar environments. As NASA prepares for future human space missions, there will be a need to consider how various waste streams, including solid waste, can be minimized, as well as how waste can be stored, processed and recycled in a space environment so that little or no waste will need to be returned to Earth, according to a contract opportunity for Phase 1 of the Lunar Recycle Challenge. Space Loop Systems posted on X that they will be entering this challenge. Big news, we're thrilled to announce our intent to enter into NASA's Lunar Surface Innovation Initiative #Lunar Recycle Challenge. Space Loop Systems calls itself the Tesla for autonomous sustainability, aiming to establish self-sustaining ecosystems on Earth, the Moon and beyond. They're developing autonomous systems capable of transforming lunar waste into resources that support life. We don't know much about this company, but we'll be sure to keep an eye on them in the future. And before we finish, Gilmour Space has just announced on X that they're gearing up for their inaugural launch in mid-January 2025. Having recently secured a launch license from the Australian government, they've also successfully completed a wet dress rehearsal. This upcoming launch will mark the first time in the 21st century that an orbital launch will take off from Australia. Although it wasn't the first ever, the first orbital launch from Australian soil was in November 1967, with an American Sparta rocket taking off from the Woomera test range. Still, it's exciting that an Australian designed and built rocket will be flying to orbit in the very near future. Okay, that's it for this week. Be sure to like and subscribe so you'll see our upcoming videos. We make videos every week covering the space industry, with an emphasis on the smaller space startups that aren't covered so well on other channels. See you soon.